challenges in Europe overall across the US market. We see higher inflation and lower year-on-year economic growth. Much of this is due to the conflict in Ukraine, which created other issues like cost and supply of energy. Having said that, revenue growth in the first quarter is moving steadily up, so there is strength in the market. But as I mentioned, the strength of the specialist MEWP manufacturers, which are heavily concentrated in Europe, is notable. There have been some major acquisitions in the last 18 months in there, particularly for producer of utility-related equipment. And in the rental sector, large generalist rental companies are more and more buying smaller rental companies in individual countries to spread out. And so we see that trend of generalist rental companies growing more and more in Europe. For the China-based manufacturers, there is a great potential in Europe too. We have seen examples of subsidiaries being set up in the continent in recent times. Our host here today, Sinoboom, of course, have a new factory in Poland, a supply deal with System Lift, and that kind of thing. So we're really seeing a fundamental change as well in the footprint too of manufacturing in Europe. This is the listing it's another listing in our magazine, this time of the world's largest access rental companies. This time it's shown by fleet size rather than revenue. So the combined fleets of the top 50 companies in the listing, again, I'm not showing the whole listing, just this is a breakout graph, and it shows, again, over time. Here we have a similar story to the manufacturing listing. Growth across the listing has been aided recently by the major new Chinese rental companies operating in China. And in 2022, there was a China-based rental company in the top 3 of the listing for the first time in its history, in 3rd place. There are now 3 China-based rental companies in the top 10. And compare that to 2017, when there was only 1 in 27th position. So we can see how times are changing. Comparing the rental fleet's sizes to manufacturers' revenues that we just saw, there were actually there was a much less drop in those COVID years in the fleet sizes than there were in the revenues. That's because many rental companies in Europe and North America aged their fleets rather than reducing them. But also there was a real move to diversify fleets and replace those equipment just used for construction for more specialist type areas that we've just spoken about. So that's again another trend that's moving forward in Europe. Okay, and back continuing with the Access 50. Let's see how the number of access rental specialists in the Access 50 listing has changed over the years. That's specialist rental companies that just rent out access equipment and not other general equipment. As access rental markets develop and become more mature, there tends to be fewer major access specialists in those regions. This happens through consolidation as the big generalist rental companies acquire the larger specialists. And we can see how this is true in the Access 50 listing. We can see that the number of specialist access equipment rental companies in the list steadily dropped until 2017. When we had the appearance of our first China-based access rental company in the list, a specialist. And of course, there are others which are specialists in now too, which are specialists in access rental. The number of China-based specialist rental companies grew until 2021. Then we see another dip. At this point, there was consolidation between 2 long-standing access rental companies in Brazil, those being Mills and Solaris. Mills bought Solaris. And so in the following year, Mills acquired earth-moving rental company Triangle and then stopped becoming an access specialist. So we see the number of specialists reducing. And that shows how the markets, as they mature, develop and become more generalist. The generalist companies buy up the specialist access equipment manufacturers, rental companies, sorry. This is just very quickly, just as an aside, to show you how quickly the China-based rental companies have grown in our listing since 2017, when there were no access rental companies from China in our listing. We can see how that's grown into 2022 with a total fleet of 230,000 units. I just wanted to quickly mention this. Telehandlers. Telehandlers are part of the Access 50 listing. They are broken out. In a mature market, telehandlers are a major part of rental companies' products. They're obviously very conducive to aerial work platforms. They're very complementary to the product. And so we also see that since the Chinese rental companies appeared in the listing, the proportion of telehandlers compared to MEWPs in rental companies has reduced on average over the world. So it is well documented that outside of North America and Europe, telehandlers not a common feature in rental fleets. And the work they're designed to do is often carried out by cranes. So, as I said, telehandlers complement access equipment. So the access market in China has grown. The access market in China has grown incredibly quickly, so much so that it's kind of left the telehandler behind. But there is a real opportunity for the telehandler to grow, not only in China, but also there's opportunities for Chinese manufacturers in North America with telehandlers, which are finding more and more applications. Just some rental insights very quickly. We're seeing that in North America, obviously a very dynamic market. One area of interest that may be of interest to you is that there's big fleets is the supply chain issue has meant that consolidation where it continues in North America, it's not just happening because of the usual reasons for customers want to expand the number of depots they have, or customers they have, or geographical areas that they have. They now need more equipment. We know about the supply chain issues, and so companies are looking to acquire others simply because they need more kit. And one big example of that is United Rentals, which recently acquired Ahern Rentals. United Rentals, being in the United States the largest access rental company in the world, bought another giant, Ahern Rentals. That was largely to do with getting more kit because it's so difficult to get hold of due to the lead times. And in Europe, one area, again, a dynamic market, a bit slower, a bit further behind the US at the moment, but we can see one area of interest. There is a continuation in the rise of online rental platforms. Although these businesses tend to be still very small, rental companies are responding to the rise of these third-party platforms by creating their own digital tools to help customers. For example, in France, Killer2 has developed an app that allows customers to manage sub-rentals on site. They can allow other contractors to rent equipment that they have on site. And HSSI in the UK, for example, is developing its own online rental platform, which also includes a non-rental service, non-rental services such as building materials and areas like that. So we're seeing digitization is a very important area. Okay, and I think I'm probably running out of time here. So I'll just quickly mention that China as well, obviously, is growing at great pace, but is not as much of a mature market or anywhere near yet as Europe and North America, and it's not likely to be because it's very young in comparison. One difference that you hear about, the difference between a mature market and a less mature market, for example, a mature market might be described as one that is finely balanced and has a combination of rental rates, residual value, and total cost of ownership at its core. This compares to the current Chinese rental model, which has been described by some as based primarily on the cost of new equipment, with the lowest price units winning out over all else. However, this will change dramatically, I'm sure, in the future. We can see also there's some other markets there which are developing very quickly. That's the sign of a young market globally for access. It will develop very quickly soon, and there's lots of opportunities globally. Well, thank you very much for your attention, and see you again. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
非常
Thank you. 非常感谢 Udell 先生为我们带来。
Thank you for your excellent presentation again, dear friends. Over the last years, the market demand has been expanded. is one of the best players in terms of the construction equipment manufacturers, and also we call it blue ocean business. Now let's welcome from the think tanker, the presentation from ESCG. China, he's going to share with us China's aerial work platform market today and tomorrow. Zheng Xiang. Thank you. I feel very pleasant to, together with all of the industry insider from MEWP, to have this communication. So what I'm going to share with you is about China's aerial work platform market and our future trend. I'm Zheng Xiang. I'm your old friend from ESCG in Beijing. I myself in the MEWP industry consulting and research, industry research for many years, since 1997. Very luckily, in 2015, when the exploitational development phases, I have entered into this industry. In year 2015, the first company is Sinoboom. So I'm really want to say appreciation for Sinoboom for giving me this opportunity. It's like open a new window for me, myself. And starting from year 2015, continuously, we have released quite a lot of report in terms of MEWP. And last year, in year 2020, because of the COVID, we paused for 1 year. What I'm going to share with you today will be focused on 3 aspects. First one, I'm going to talk a little bit more about my 3 basic judgments on the MEWP market. And second, the growing differentiated MEWP rental market. And the third topic will be about the coming challenges. For MEWP industry, so we are actually at is a very shining segment in terms of the machinery manufacturing. The highest growth rate has continued for many years till now. Over the last 2 years, it's the only segmented industry in the construction machinery industry. So why is that? Because it is coming thanks to the macroeconomic environment the government created. The 3 judgments. The first one, blessed with huge potential development, the market remains an incremental market so far. So we still call it the growth period. So in period of the development for the MEWP, we call it the incremental market still. And we have a judgment in the future is going to continue to grow for a certain period of time. But we need to point it out that the Chinese MEWP in the future, starting from this year, in the next 2 to 3 years, we might see a turning point of this industry. Because since its beginning to now, we have witnessed a continuous development. The manufacturers, rental companies have never experienced a full circle of the industry. From this curve, you might see that we have maintained this growth rate. There is no down growth, minus growth. So the reason is that the macroeconomic development as a background, which has provided a solid foundation for the industry development. So in the macroeconomy, we need to point it out that something is very closely to the MEWP, the three elements. One is our people, the demographic advantages, and then secondly, the number of the cities in China is the largest in the world. Not only the quantity, but also because we have a big number of the people, the population, and we have a mega city, an ultra mega city, super mega city. And based on the 2023 Department of the Construction and the Housing in China, we can see, and there is totally and 660 million houses in China, residential places in China, and also three drivers we need to focus on. We need to have a highest construction period. On the top left, you can say the utilization of the construction are going down. In terms when we facing with the pressure from the profit margin growth rates, every company need to increase their efficiency. Also, the second in labor cost. So in China, we have a large number of the people from rural areas, the neighbor from the rural areas. The average range has become older right now. So according to the statistics, we can see by year 2021, the average ages have over 40 for those laborers. So in the construction side, we very seldom can see the young people. So the average income of those workers have been increased. So for those workers who come from rural areas, the revenues become higher. So the profit pressure, labor cost increase, which will make the construction industry to improve the efficiency of the work. So about the safe work. Safety operation is something the government focus a lot in most of the accidents. We can see many cases from the aero work. So the judgment too, because we have not experienced a full circle. What we are witnessing right now, the MEWP industry, the branding competitiveness is temporary. For example, in the development era, in the mature era, for example, the crane business or pumping business, pumping machinery, one circle is not enough. For those industry have not experienced a full circle MEWP industry, what we can see right now, everything is temporary. What's the future trend? It's very hard for us to make the predictions. And thanks to the rapid development trend, a lot of participants, which attracted a lot of participants, the rapid growth also for the whole construction machinery practitioner and industry is attracted us or not. So the whole industry, from the production basis and to the rental and to the it all have experienced the highest growth. So we need to talk about the production capacity. And we can see one line from year 2017, 2018 is a very important period, because before that the production capability is was quite steady. But after year 2017, 2018, the total production capacity has increased exponentially, increasingly. And especially, we have a big key players emerged in the market. Based on our research, the integrated capacity is about 450,000 units per year. So the dividends of the demand, market demand, have made the highest growth rate. One point I would like to say, unfortunately, during this period, the size the size is the most important competitive factor is still here. So then in the market, because of that, we can see the over competitiveness of the industry like excavator. But for the future development is going to bring some challenges to our future development. The point three, judgment three, because of those competitiveness and people focus a lot on the sizes itself, so the whole industry need to be cautious about the scenario like what the excavator industry has experienced. So excavator industry is very similar to the MEWP. It was witnessing the highest growth rate, and it experienced the high development of the domestic market. From year 2022, we have seen that the downturn, the very sharp downtrend of the excavator, over 40% decrease rate. So for those decrease in the excavator industry will make the whole industry into like a trap. So all the public listed company, the operation last year was pretty bad. And like Sany, XMG also witnessed that. We can see from this presentation on the right side, the two pictures are the Chinese Manufacturer Association. There is a research center. They release quite a lot of data about the industry. About their latest report, last year, their operation situation was pretty bad. 70% diners were at loss. And according to our research, the percentage is about 90%. So that means all of those diners were facing with this situation. They were at loss. So about this situation, facing with this situation, our manufacturing shares are starting to participating in more globalization, global competition. So here we can see Dingli from Zhejiang province. That is the only public listed company in Chinese manufacturers for the MEWP business. In 2022, their overall revenue and margin was improved actually. So about all of the customer coming from the MEWP industry, we know Dingli in the past, they focused a lot about the overseas sales. Several years ago, the highest growth rate of the MEWP industry attracted Dingli to participate. And they ever transferred the point into the domestic industry market, but in year 2021, they have changed their strategy and to go more global. So we can see the result of those shifting. So that was the judgment we have made. And now let's look at the rental company. All of the status was the one we made in year 2021. From year 2021, the rental company numbers about the 1,600. I need to point it out. It does not include some small size company. For example, the companies with 20 units fleet size will not include those companies. And from 2021, or from the research, we can see under 100 unit fleet size accounted for over 66%, and 100 to 500, the number increased. And for the areas 10,000, the numbers keep the same. Top 3 rental company like Hongxing, Hongsheng, Zhongnen, and Huatie. Those 3 rental companies, according to our research, in year 2021, the top rental company, their sold numbers accounted for 40% of the total sold numbers of the rental companies in China. So in year 2022, that number increased to 44%. So for those dealers with over 1,000 units in the rental company, we didn't see many of them. Most of the dealers, they have the fleet size lower than 500. So from this development trend, we can see for the companies with the fleet size under 1,000 units, like mid to small size, the fleet size increased. That means that the companies see positive about this company despite the challenges ahead of us. 3 differentiation. We think MEWP rental companies have 3 differentiated trend. 1 differentiation about the size and price. The annual growth rate, increase rate. The rental rate actually decreased. The last 2 years after I came here in Changsha, I have a lot of communication with the rental companies. The rental rate in China continue to decrease, and those decrease. It's just like a sword with double blade. Give us more opportunities while bringing challenges. And also, I want to show you small details. If you're familiar with Beijing, you might know that in Xidan in Beijing, that is the headquarters of Chinese Bank of China. I lived there around that close in 1970. At the gate of the headquarters of People's Bank of China, is a very famous designer designed that. They have used the mobile craftswork and 8, 9 neighbor involved. So if there is a small size balloon lift was there, I believe the neighbor maybe only need to have 2 or 3 neighbor to finish that work. So 2017 year, even if for the Bank of China, those big financial group, they did not use Aero Work platform. But now we can see the very wide adoption, and we can see the tier 5, 4, 6. Those tier cities, the people are starting to use this MEWP. So that's a differentiation. From this size, we can see in China, the MEWP participate player, domestic and international. We need to point it out, especially the domestic brand, the numbers are increasing in a faster pace. So especially in Hunan, Henan, Shandong province, and that number increase are very fast. From rental company and the manufacturers, the partnership between them have driven this increase more faster, especially the Hongxing rental company. We can see this trend. So for those one who are not the top rental companies, they are also starting up strengthening the partnership between between the rental company and the manufacturer. Manufacturer and the rental company, those partnership, we can see the rental company's numbers. Also, the fleet size of them are increasing, continue to increase. From this picture, we can see different brand of the manufacturer in order to expand the market share. They are trying to cover more partnership with more rental companies, like to increase their footprint and mapping. Therefore, the rental company, the coverage rate of the manufacturer, the partnership with the rental company. So that means one rental company, how many manufacturers they have partnership with. For example, different sizes, different numbers of in their fleet from how many brands of the manufacturer. So rental company and the manufacturer, we can see the partnership between them. We also realize that rental company and in their fleet size, the numbers of the brands also increased. So the rental companies, the top rental companies increase their size in a faster pace, and the middle sized are growing their size at the same time. In year 2021, in comparison with the year 2020, for those rental company with less than 500 units in their fleet size, they have the average fleet size has increased from 85 units to 130 units. So that means that from 2020 to 2021, the manufacturers of different lines, they have quite positive sales. And for those smaller size scissor lift, like 4 to 6 meters, they have very, very big backlog orders. So we can see MEWP till now, as of today, are still enjoying, are still at an extensive growth rate period. But starting from now, quite a lot of rental companies are doing some strategies to change this situation. So the rentalists with different performance, we can see the different result. From our research, we can see application scenarios are increasing to be more and focus on the construction industry, for example, the building of the factory and the rental companies, fleet size. We can see over 40% of the rental company are only operating MEWP machinery, not the other types of manufacturing. The reason is that before they operating MEWP, some of them operating some other industries, for example, crane business or excavators. So in this period, there is not a thinking around the product mix in their fleet size. So two scenarios need to pay your attention. Some mid to small size companies, we can see there is some minor changes. In the past, we talked a lot about blaming the top rental companies to compete with the price. And now it has transferred into a period that they are trying to improve their operation efficiency. So that's the impression from the middle to mid sizes at the top rental companies. For those rental companies with good operation results, they focus a lot on the management and the operation. So not the sense that some of the people.
下面我们给大家看。
I would like to have a look at some other businesses. They enjoy greater profit margins. Margin rate is over 30%. And we can see that there are some differences for the rental companies who enjoy different margins. Rental companies, some of them entered this industry earlier, some of them later. But that's not necessarily related to their profitability, because the key is the operating philosophy. The rental rate is very important. The source of revenue can be diverse. For a 6-meter or 10-meter type product, and different rental companies have different expectations of their margins. If you consider they are at different stages of development. Also, you need to consider the human cost. Finally, I would like to say a few words on change. Change is a very important trend, and this could be a challenge. We need to move towards a high-quality development if we want to be sustainable. And if we want to have a longer-term development, you need to establish a faith that is long-termism. And with this, you will be in a better position to enjoy a benign competitive market. It is important for you to win the clients, and it is important for you to tap into the international market. Thank you. And here ends my presentation. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for Mr. Zeng's speech. Very wonderful speech. Dear friends, we're very honored to have listened to so many speakers. And next, we will enter into roundtable discussion 1. During discussion, we will have the business leaders. They will talk about their insights. Now, I will invite Kong Chaoyang from HMIA Association. And we will also have, will be the host. And altogether, we will have 5 panelists. They will talk about a new future and a new ecology of intelligent equipment industry cluster. All of our distinguished leaders in the contribute and share their expertise in international science. Now with a round of applause, let's welcome Kong Chaoyang, President of HMIA. Here's the host. Welcome. We will have Wu Hongliang from Changsha Department of Commerce. And let's welcome Wang Tao, Mayor of Ningxiang City. Du Ling from Changsha branch of ICBC. Li Company CEO Qiu Li. Now, Susan, CEO of Sinoboom. This is a wonderful moment. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm Chao Yang from HMIA Hunan. I'm very honored to chair this discussion. It's the first roundtable. Present here today are the panelists on the stage. They will give us different perspectives in terms of the new future of intelligent equipment industrial cluster of Hunan. We will have the mingling of ideas. I hope that you will benefit from this way or another from this discussion. First, as usual, I would like to introduce to you the panelists. They are Huang Tao Mayor of Ningxiang, Wu Hongliang from ICBC Changsha branch, and Zhou Lingyu, welcome, and Jiangsu Hengli, company, Qiu Yiling, Sinoboom CEO, Susan Xu, the only lady on the stage. Susan, I think she's the lady. The harder she works, the more beautiful she turns to be. We have 5 points, 5 perspectives from government, from business, from different parts, different perspectives. So we will hear their perspectives. Wu, please. You know, I'm familiar with Wu for many years. He's a government official. And Department of Industry and Information Technology attaches importance to the smart or intelligent equipment. And people now talking about the industrial cluster. You know, Hunan province is number 3 among different provinces. And in Hunan, there are very important smart manufacturing. And also, Changsha has accumulated strength in the smart manufacturing. I want to know what new moves will Changsha make or adopt to help the industry development. Thank you for your question. A construction machinery industrial cluster is Changsha's first national level cluster. The Changsha government attaches importance to the development of this cluster, especially since 2019. Changsha, since then, has formulated a medium and long-term action plan. During the plan, we specify that 3-step way forward to build 3 highlands and making 4 new innovations. The first step is to use 3 years to implement smart manufacturing and help companies to go out into the overseas markets. In the past 3 years, we have consolidated the industrial cluster of construction machinery in Changsha. Now the industry has a leading position, and now we have coordinated across the regions, and now we enjoy a good working vista. The second step is that by 2025, we will basically complete the building of international advanced construction machinery industrial highland, more intelligent, greener, and we can provide more efficient services by 2025. Number 3 step is that by 2030, so another 5 years time, we will, by 2030, we'll be able to build internationally leading construction machinery industrial cluster, and Changsha will become a source of science and technology in terms of the construction machinery development in the world. So by 2030, Changsha will be able to build 3 advanced highlands. And during his visit in Hunan, President Xi Jinping pointed out that Hunan needs to implement 3 highlands and 4 innovations strategy. That is a blueprint that we need to draw, we need to implement. So our way forward is clear. We need to effectively implement the medium-term and long-term plan to advance 8 major projects, and different departments of Hunan and business community will work together to promote the development of the construction machinery industrial cluster and to facilitate implementation of the 3 highlands and the 4 innovations of strategy. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Wu. Changsha is the capital of Hunan, and Changsha is contributing its most resources to the implementation of the Hunan's strategy. Now next, Huang Tao, Mayor of Ningxiang City. Mayor Huang, in terms of, he used to work in the government, in the high-tech zone. Actually, in Ningxiang City, the economy has been growing very rapidly, and Ningxiang is a city under the leadership of Changsha, and the work and progress achieved by Ningxiang has recognized the response positively from society. So I would like to ask Mayor Huang to say a few words on how Ningxiang has done or will do on the development of the construction machinery industry cluster. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you, MHIA President, to invite me. Of the years, I have been working in the field of economy.
And now I work in the front side for the advanced manufacturing business. So I would like to share with you 3 points. And in order to build up the industry and cluster, for the local government, I think we need to have a precise positioning. And secondly, we need to focus on the project. Thirdly, to create a more favorable environment for the business. And first of all, precise positioning in Ningxiang. We first need to do the deduction, and we need to let go of some unimportant things, because we have 2 national size production bases. We have 3 nice 2 cluster. One chain is like, for example, Sinoboom, Sunny, So we think for the crane, we also think they also work in the aerial work. And 60 to 70 manufacturers, we can have that full chain. And we need to build up a size up to 50 billion RMB. Secondly, is a food industry. So cluster and chain, we need understanding about these two words, and also we need to have build up 50 billion. And then the third one is the appliances, hygiene, and the software, no, the hardware. And that is have enjoyed a big potential room. And the most important also the reserve energy. By 3 years, we reached the total revenue of the business reached 70 billion, and the next year we're planning to have over 100 billion RMB. Lingde. So, and in the south part of China, we have Ningxiang. So we got a highly recognition. And we are trying to build a basis for 200 billion RMB size to create it. The medical devices and life sciences, and we have over 80 businesses. We cultivated over 80 companies with that we call the blue ocean business. So precise positioning is very important. And secondly, to be project based. We pointed out the head of the chain and organization of the chain to make full use of the power of the capital, the government support, how to attract it more investors. Over the past 2 to 3 years, we imported the investment of over 10 billion RMB and a 3.5 million project, 500 million, and also a lot of projects are commenced. And many projects actually was launched in operation and completed in 1 year. Last year, April, Sinoboom got the land. In less than 9 months, the smart manufacturing cities was completed. So for those projects, we can build the cluster bigger. And thirdly, to create a more favorable environment to serve better, legalized, law-based, and the first-class favorable business environment. And so we could not do the babysitter type of it. We need to better address the challenges from the market, from the customer, and the problems faced with the customer. So every month, every month, we have the supporting center to the enterprises. Favorable environment is the key. So in the research from the different enterprises in Ningxiang, in all provinces, the same tier cities, we were ranked at the top. But we need to do better. We need to keep to do better, like to learn from the first class and advanced model. And we can see in Ningxiang City, like the chairman has said, the development was quite fast. And last year, and increased by 8.6%. Revenue also ranked the top. And favorable environment, that element will also rank the top. So for the first quarter of this year, we believe our industry enterprises increased by 6.6%. and the revenue taxes increased as well. So we can say for Changsha City and the industry across the world, we will contribute our effort to it. And the State Council has approved the high-tech zone in Lingshan, and Lingshan in China was one of the 4 nation-sized industrial high-tech zone. Also, we have 3 enterprises with revenue over 10 billion RMB. And last year, we have 2 entrepreneurs participated. The delegates, President Xi of China, paid to the Indonesia. So Sinoboom also was first one in the top 50 construction machinery access the. So we need to take 5 years to make sure that over 12 about 100 million revenues. And like Kunshan, now we have 5, and we can increase 1 every year, so we can achieve that target. So we believe that we can make sure we can apply the nation size so that we can contribute our efforts. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. So, so if you see one city is good or not, we say if they have gained money, if we have it is safe, it's convenient. So 3 points we have reached that standard. So to building up the strategy, I hope that you can make it better. So, Mr. Du, the same question for you. So you're the general manager of the Hunan branch. So for the bank is blood. So from the financial point of view, how do you think the financial industry can help the cluster development? Thank you, Director. And I'm very thankful to on behalf of the financial industry to share with you some of our points. I was very honored that Wu Liang invited me to watch one film, and that is on the screen of the last several years. Changsha with a lot of influencer, and we call it a celebrity or influencer city. So we have a night wind culture. A lot of people enjoying the nightlife. So most important highlights is our manufacturing industry are going global. So we have witnessed a lot of beautiful pictures ahead of us in terms of this industry. So I share with this guy that how about we shoot films to reflect the development of the industry cluster of the manufacturing equipment. So like Chairman has said, how we can support, facilitate the development of this manufacturing, the construction machinery industry. Very luckily, I gather here with all of the business elite to grow together. Over the last several years, ICBC, we have been to stick to the principle to connecting the industry with the finance, with the capital, and facilitate the high quality development of the manufacturing industry. We made quite a lot of work, and we received quite a positive result. Of the last 8 consecutive years in Changsha City, the business loan to the business ranked the top. Together with the provincial government, we signed 2 trillion RMB capital agreement. So we have the confidence and the determination to to support better to the advanced manufacturing, construction machinery industry. And in details, we need to be more precisely supporting the customer and to match with the market demand. From those perspective, we could make full use of our financial system, the advanced innovation system, to facilitate the high quality development of the financing industry. So one policy does not fit for all. So we need to follow with the trend of the industry to deepen the understanding about the market, to in time to create better adaptive customer basis demand-based product. Also, the industry can make full use of our network and the systems of the financing industry together with the advanced manufacturing industry to go global. In Malaysia, Indonesia, those two countries, we have two projects going global. We have providing capital supporting. Also, next step, we'll also have our plan to support Sinoboom in terms of the capital. And so have a global responsive system across 426 branches across the world. ICBC have that, and we will support our industry to go global. And lastly, we need to deepen our conception of the mission. And President Xi has make us to be more people-oriented and industry-oriented, so that we will provide a better taxation system and benefits to the businesses. And also, I'm going to share with you over the last 5 years in the business-based loan, we have the lowest loan rate to provide it with the businesses for the business, and with the best service and the fastest pace. So for the advanced production industry, we hope that is going to have a faster pace development. Thank you. We all know ICBC. So we say ICBC, the industry and the commerce bank, industry link, industry and the commerce. So thank you for your contribution, ICBC. Small tips, suggestion. When you supporting the business like Sinoboom, you need to pay all attention to the small and small sizes enterprise as well. To be added one point about your point, actually we're also taking that into consideration. How we can serve different companies with various sizes. Another one is that we are going to have about innovation and the research center, so as to serve for the industry cluster and industry chain. Those companies with small and middle-sized companies can join from it. Next, we're going to from Cho. We all know Hongli Hydronic is a well-known brand to provide the hydronic components to the manufacturers of the construction equipment. At the beginning of the development and going global, the powering system, hydronic system, is a key component in the manufacturing. As a leading company in this industry, from your perspective, how do you think to build up a full chain, upper chain and the bottom chain of the cluster? Thank you. As a supplier, I would like to share with you my point. Mr. Chen has shared with us some reports over the last 2 years. As MEWP, as an example, we can witness the development of the industry. From the end second part of last year, there are several points we can see. Market demand is increasing, but because of the increase of the labor cost and the safety requirement increases for the rental companies, manufacturers, it has reached high criteria for the development of the operation. And more importantly, we need to take Sinoboom as example. The MEWP manufacturers, the technological level and the production capacity
良性的发展，大家要关注这个产品的全生命周期、全价值链的竞争。第三个我想提出来的，也就是我们一个全球。
That is a global competitiveness, and the Chinese enterprise and the manufacturers so far, as terms of the performance, reliability of the product, and also technological level, can compete with the international players. So for going global, I believe not only focusing about the to go global market, because we're also faced with some challenges and something that we cannot control. And is that going to face the challenges ahead of us? So we need to improve our production, and we need to have more production bases in around the world, across the world. That is important. In this way, we can facilitate the construction machinery, like MEWP, the whole industry, like every business, every companies can have a positive development. Thank you. Thank you. So from the key component point of view, when we look at the full supply chain development, your sharing have provided with a very point of thought. So the industry development that is of high relevance and significance. Thank you very much. And next, we're going to ask Susan. So far, it is not only a summit, but also 15th anniversary, and is a teenager of Sinoboom. Before asking you your sharing, I want to ask a question. Is that Stephen or you to be more suitable for work as a chairman? Stephen, you're the chairman. But when the operation, Susan is more suitable than you. Can we give her a round of applause? And so from that point of view, I would like to ask you, I'd like you to share with us the government officials and the suppliers from their own perspective to elaborate it with us, the industrial cluster and the high-end construction equipment manufacturer cluster, your thoughts, your suggestions to us. So from my point of view, I would like to share with you our journey of Sinoboom, to share with you the advantages of here in Changsha City. Sinoboom is actually, we set up this company in year 2008. We started as a small size, very small. And the last year, we ranked the top 50 of the construction. And we launched our intelligent manufacturing basis, and also have our subsidiary in the overseas market. And in Poland, we already have one production plant, and in next we're going to have one more in Mexico. And as of now, I feel like, so very luckily, I grew and set up my business in Changsha, in Ningxiang. I'm very thankful because we start from zero, very limited capital. Those we can only spend on the development of this single product. So only one desk, two chairs, we started our business. All of the components, I have to rely on the local component supplier and also the international supply chain. A majority of the parts, like structure components, actually the local suppliers provided to us. Without all of those support from our suppliers, we cannot come to today. So even if we have a high level of globalization, like a Calipina, Komatsu, they also have very highly international. Our local manufacturers, Sany, Zoomlion, Soundword, Photon, different local companies have helped us actually because they have created this very comprehensive supply chain. And the government have give a lot of support to the manufacturing business. So I feel like not only why we can come to today, why we can have a global level industry cluster, we have that confidence. And now we can see we reached the one target after another. Really want to thank to the supporting from the government and Director General Jing Hui, and when he was a director of the department, we also have a lot of communication. And he paid a visit to us that time. And we moved our production bases to Ningxiang, but at that time we were at a very small size. But we focused on not a lot on the elements, the suppliers, all of those resources have been input into this industry. And also the banks, finance industry also can give the loan to up to 500 million RMB. And that support us a lot to the linear operation and our globalization strategy. So all of those elements made us to come to today. So really thanks to the strategy guideline from the government. Business development, supply chain, and the publication. And we receive a lot of integrated and full solutions from different sectors. So all of those, we need to say, we need to give the credit to the clusters the whole city have built up. Thank you for all the resources. So I really hope that all the supply chain, our partners, so welcome to Changsha, and it's a great city. Thank you. And Susan, actually have a lot of stories to share with you. And I hope all of you hand in hand by cooperation partnership to grow together with all of your partners. And due to the time limit, the first session of the roundtable have to come to an end. And last sentence before we finish this session, 3 highlights for innovation this strategy in Hunan province and in Ningxiang as a supporting area. Let's work together to contribute to those strategy. That is the end of this first phase of the roundtable. Thank you. Thank you very much for the chairman and the guests to share the thoughts. Let's give a round of applause to all of the speakers. Okay. And thank you for your insights. And the Sinoboom will take this opportunity of the summit will open the double nine platform for communication and discussion and exploration. And we have a tea break for you next. And all the guests need to mind of your speeches time. Next, we invite Zhongnen Rental Company, Mr. Yang Tianli, to give us their presentation. Welcome. Leaders, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm Zhongnen United, chairman of Zhongnen United in 2021. I started entering into the MEWP industry. I was working in the government system, and now it has been 12 years past. So today I'd like to take this opportunity to share with you my understanding about the industry and the difficulties we have faced up, the mistakes we have made. First of all, I would like to share with you our trajectory of the development of Zhongnen United Rental. Zhongnen Rental. Zhongnen United from August year 2016. We focused on MEWP over the last 6 years. And there are several data we need to take a look at it. The self-owned unit, 50,000 units. and the total 800 million. The coverage, we have covered 1,600 cities in China. We completed keep all systems online. So that is our development trajectory of our business. In August 2017, we have had an insight. The industry is going to have great opportunities in the industry. Why we think about that? First one, we realize our customer end, about 800,000 from the tracting, the general tracting, subtracting, 100 million units of the units are owned by the small number of the rental company. The demand and also we made a lot of analysis. We found that MEWP from the spare parts, from distribution to manufacturer, rental company, dealers, construction companies, logistic, insurance, about 21 players involved. All of that are taken offline. All of the business take offline. So after we got that insight, so start from year 2020, we launched this online progress. After 3 years, our platform business, online business, have over 100,000 small size and middle sized enterprises and realize the transaction. So that means our new business model, we want to use our capability of the digitalization to empower the whole industry. That is to say, to launch online, and also another important point. 2020, with Sinoboom, our online companies, online transaction have played an important role, and Hunai Chanxing gave us a lot of support. And that is make Zhongnan United to have more partnership with the manufacturer in Hunan province. So that is the 3 trajectory. Today is the 15th anniversary of Sinoboom celebration. So I would like to share with you very briefly our partnership with Sinoboom. 2016, I got to know with 2 leaders from Sinoboom. And starting from year 2015, we started to partnership with each other. And hand in hand, we started to cooperate with each other and carried out quite a lot of cooperation. By 2020, we purchased over 280 million RMB in terms of the equipment. So Sinoboom, the product has a very high quality. That's one reason we decided to purchase from them. Also, Sinoboom provided 7 24-hour services to the customer. Together with Hunan Caixin and Sinoboom, the 3-party partnership also provided a very important support to all of us, our shareholder. So that makes laid a solid foundation to us. Over the last 15 years, the 2 leaders from Sinoboom, Stephen and Susan, faced quite a lot of challenges, but in them, I have seen a lot of good qualities, characteristics. So I'm deeply impressed by all of those characters. Third one. So in the renting business, we have been gone through 6 years, and we have gone our business online for 6 years as well. From the renting business, rental business is going to be a future trend, not only for now, but also future trend. and from the whole industry, not only the MEWP renting business, and we are facing with some challenges. But from our point of view, so in this phase, the rental company will come from the high development growth into a very mature development pace. So the product of various types of the customers. So when the customer can rent the company, they're not going to supposed to buy the company. So we still enjoy the 20 to 30% growth in the future. So we can see customer seems to be more centralized. Our customers, they themselves also face with the competition and the integration. Another point, from the renting application, more before is some new application, but now from our data, from the newly constructed projects, and now become into more maintenance-based projects. So in China, we have a lot of infrastructure. We have 7 training construction buildings need to be maintained. So we still have a development room of 10 trillion RMB worth of RMB. So from a global point of view, renting business is also a very important trend. So in the temporary pressure, so the industry needs to come into its core business. So we need to have confidence in it. So from the essence of the renting business, first one is service industry. You can see the top renting company to be more precise and raise the high standards for us to lower the cost and high efficient operation. The top renting company, if we can provide the differentiated service and solutions to our end customers, that's a challenge ahead of us. For us, it's also opportunities. So the essence of the renting itself, in its essence, is the service industry. Secondly, it's about the capital. So several logic. First, the revenue, the ROI, and the residue. Those 2 elements in terms of the system of operation, we need to think about it in terms of the layout and constantly upgrading. So if the other company can do 70%, can we do 80%? And if the other product can get 20% of residue, can we reach it to 30%? So if we can do that, we're going to have a position in the industry. And not only about that, it is also financing industry. Over the last 5 years, the MEWP has, we can see the rental rates decreased as a lower rental rate, and ROI is not that positive. So the essence of the financing industry. So how we can make it more reasonable. So if we are doing this, we need to see that its essence. So about suggestion, differentiation. So from our point of view, Zhongnan United, we have think about it for 6 years, and we practice it for 3 years. So we want to make full use of the technology and to empower the middle and small size rental companies so that they can have their competitiveness in comparison with the top rental companies, to provide the customer with a completed solution with various range of the products, so that they can monitor their operation costs while increasing their efficiency. So go online, means that they need differentiated service and the market positioning. So small and middle-sized rental company also have their strategy, how you position yourself, which manufacturer you're selected from, which region you selected, which customer you selected. From your selection, that is going to point it out the future development and what the differentiation you created. And the second one is a craftsmanship. The third one is long-termism. All the renting company enjoy the marketing dividends and earn the service from the service, and that module and from the level, that is there is not some other better operation model. So that's why we need to take it a long-term point of view. So we need to look at 5 to 10 years. We need to take a reasonable attitude towards it. That's why I want to share with you differentiation, long-termism, craftsmanship, to be more precise in terms of our positioning. And that's some of the points I want to share with you. Also joining United in the new era. Tomorrow, we're going to have our launch ceremony, and hope that we can provide it hand in hand with the media and sciences rental companies. Together, we can create a better industry and ecology, and so that to efficient, harmonious industry economy featuring win-win cooperation. Thank you. Thank you very much for your excellent presentation. So all the happiness come from the hard working. So success is not possible without the working hard. So Australia has experienced over development of 40 years and ranked the top in the international market. And the next welcome co-hire Mr. Peter Davis to give us a presentation.
We could learn from Australian MEWP rentals. Welcome.
Well, hello all, and it's a great honour to actually be here today and to talk at the International Summit and to help celebrate Sinoboom's 15th year anniversary. It's also my first time in this part of China and in Hunan province and Hangzhou, and I like what I see. So well done to everybody who's making that happen who lives in this area. I'd like to start a little bit of, I'll just sort out my phone, sorry. I'd like to talk about the company that I've actually worked with for the last 40 years, and that is Coates Hire. Coates is Australia's largest construction company and solutions company, 100% Australian owned by Seven Group Holdings, revenue of around about $1 billion Australian per year, and growing, a fleet size of 1.9 billion Australian and growing, and located all around the country, serves to all parts of the country, including parts of Indonesia. Over 2,000 employees as well. Lots of new equipment coming in, even with the challenges around COVID. And our access fleet, we have 21 categories of equipment in our fleet, and the access fleet is the largest one at 400 million Australian. And that's roughly anywhere between 7,500 and 8,000 assets. The market forecast for Australia over the next 4 to 5 years is in construction activity, average around about $250 billion of that, of construction up until FY27. With engineering construction, by that I mean there's a lot of road and rail infrastructure going in, making up half of that spend. And it's also assisted by the government stimulus post-COVID. Materials and labour constraints have been a challenge for us over the last few years, like everywhere else around the world. We're expecting that to continue to be a challenge for us with the ongoing supply chain disruptions. And there's just a huge demand for equipment right across the industry. Everybody needs more equipment. We expect to see that continue. Also, with the higher interest rates that we were going to experience in Australia and around the world, and the end of the COVID-related tax concessions, we're thinking that's going to drive our customers more to the rental model, which is great for us because we have seen over the last couple of years lots of end users buy their own equipment. And we think with those high interest rates coming and the demand, they will return back to the rental model. We're also increasing our sustainable equipment. Australia has lagged over the rest of the country, the rest of the world in sustainability and regulations around zero emissions. But I think community expectation and also the fact that corporate Australia have now committed to lowering emissions by setting zero or reduced emission targets over the next 10 to 20 years. We'll see that continue. We're also seeing customer expectation around telemetry and smarter equipment. Our customers want to know how hard the equipment's working. They want to get see emission reporting, diesel fuel usage reporting. So we're seeing an expectation from them that the equipment needs to be smarter, which lines up with some of the things I've seen here with Sinoboom. I don't want to talk too much about COVID, but I think it's fair to say that in Australia, in the rental industry, we were fairly lucky. Most businesses weren't impacted that much. The revenues didn't decrease that much, with the exception of the rental, the event hire businesses. And in fact, some businesses were actually more profitable. The ability to adapt and the resilience that came through COVID has held us in good stead since the years since COVID started. The fact that flexibility of working from home, we realised that we no longer need to be in the office from 7 till 5 every day, and you can get that flexibility of work by doing some in the office and working from home. I think the challenge for us is to try to work out how many days, what's the right balance for working at home, whether it's 1 day, 2 days or 3 days a week. I think that will depend on the individuals and the jobs that you have. When COVID originally hit, Coates did slow down the capital expenditure quite a lot. But then we soon realised that we probably weren't going to be as impacted as greatly as the rest of the world. So we had to accelerate capital, and that's why we've seen there over the last 2 years, we've actually had over $450 million worth of new equipment hit our fleet, and that's held us in good stead for the growth period that's about to come. But we are expecting to see ongoing supply chain disruption. Engine quotas appears to be still the biggest challenge that we all have from all the engine manufacturers. There's just not enough being made or quickly enough. The war in Europe is certainly impacting the ability for the Europeans to produce enough for us, and the fact that a lot of OEM order books are also full has seen this shortage of equipment. So this has really opened the doors to the Chinese manufacturers. And before I talk about that journey that we've been on with the Chinese manufacturers, I'd like to just, for those that have been to Australia, you'll realise that we use the term mate a lot. And mate can mean many things. So mate can be, hey mate, do you want to go to the pub and have a beer tonight? It can also mean to a complete stranger, hey mate, good day, nice to meet you. And it can also be, if you're having an argument with somebody, mate, you say that again and there'll be problems. So with that, for those that have been to Australia, they will understand what I'm talking about. For those that haven't been to Australia, be prepared for the term mate. You're going to see it. So if I think through the journey that people like myself, I've been in the industry a long time, and that Coates has been on, I guess I could term it by saying, in the early days, more than 10 years ago, it was typically, nah, mate, nah, we're not buying that. It's made in China. It might be cheap, but it's not going to last. Then we started to hear these things with local quality and export quality. I don't know if that was real or not, but that's what we started to hear. Then there was evidence that quality was improving, and the global companies, and we saw some of them earlier today on the screen, global companies manufacturing in Australia, in China, sorry. And so the attitude that we had changed, and it sort of went, hey, mate, maybe that Chinese gear is not that bad. And so small purchase, we did some trials of equipment, and some worked and some didn't. I'm still scarred by some of the ones that failed in lighting towers, but there was some good and there was not so good. And now here we are in the current era where we've had the disruption of COVID and the supply chain issues I've talked about. And I think now we're at this part of our journey where we're saying, mate, we can't wait for new gear to arrive from the US or from Europe. Let's take a punt. And for those who don't know what a punt is a gamble. And that's sort of what we think we're doing here, but it's an educated gamble because we've actually seen the increase in quality coming out of China over that period of time. And we're quite confident now that we've picked the right partners, with Sinoboom being one of them. Also, BYD is another Chinese company we're dealing directly with, and Hangcha in the forklifts as well. So we think we've got the right partners. We now understand what we need to do and what the Chinese manufacturers need to do. But the challenge for us, and Jose spoke yesterday for those that were there about the challenge of Europe being language. The challenge for Australia too many controllers, sorry. The challenge for Australia is its size. The size of the country and the small population, thereabouts 26 million, with 16 million of those living in the 5 capital cities, and the rest basically living within a half a day or a day's drive from the coast or the major cities or the large regional areas. You'll see there the areas in blue makes up most of Australia. Hardly anybody lives there. But that's where all the mining operations are. And they work 24/7. So this map here, all the dots on the map represent a mining operation. And if you think back to the last map, the majority of those dots are in those blue areas. And that's our challenge. So what we've seen, well, what's important, what we've learned is the fact that you need to have a strong service support and spare parts availability, and factory support is key to the success of a Chinese product, or any product for that matter, no matter where it is in the world. Waiting days or weeks, or in recent times through COVID, months for spare parts to arrive is just not acceptable. Not acceptable to us, not acceptable to our customers. If you think about those vast areas we have, it can cost us thousands of dollars if we have to change over broken down equipment. And the customer doesn't pay for that, we pay for that. So we need to make sure that you have a really strong spare parts supply and you're able to bring it to us quickly and when we need it. So we are expecting, we have high standards when it comes to that. It's okay when you come to Australia, you might start with one office, but that won't cut it. That won't, if you expect us to continue to buy more equipment from you, you're going to need to expand your operation in Australia. Now, whether that's be by multiple offices around the country or by working with a service distributor, a service supplier, and you need to be make sure you pick the service suppliers, the distributors very well. You need to be careful with that because we need a strong dealer network to support where we have the equipment. So with that, just so there are the challenges. The opportunity now is to continue to work together. And I'd like to say that with Sinoboom, we're very, very confident that we've picked the right partner, Stephen. So very confident with that. But I guess the proof will be in the pudding. And by that I mean we need to make sure that delivery schedules are met. We do not want to be waiting have long lead times. We also need to make sure that spare parts availability and the support of the factories to assist us. We have strong, high safety standards in Australia, and that sometimes means that we have to have different specifications on our equipment, and the support that the factories can give us to fit those specifications is a really important part of ensuring that we get good return on our investment. So we will measure all those things. We'll also look at the quality and reliability and how many times it's breaking down and when it's breaking down. We'll also look at the service support and the days to repair. As I said, we can't be waiting days or weeks for equipment that's broken down to be repaired. I think Sinoboom have got a really strong Chinese and now a really strong Australian team. Coates has got the same. I'm very confident that we'll continue to grow this partnership. The other thing that I've picked up in the couple of days that I've been here is that the values, core values, are a very strong part of Sinoboom, and they're a very strong part of Coates Hire. And I like to think that that's going to keep us in good stead in the years going forward. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Peter Davis. Thank you very much for your expertise and insights. Thank you. 非常感谢 Peter Davis 先生为我们带来精彩。
Thank you very much for your sharing. US is source and origin of the development of the MEWP renting company there. They have the very advanced experience. Very honored to have with us a key figure in the industry to share with us. Let's give a round of applause to Max Hoskin to share with us evolution of MEWP rental industry in America.
Welcome Mr. Max Hoskins to bring us a topic of the evolution of MEWP rental industry. Welcome.
Good morning. It's getting late morning. I have a different perspective on the business. My brother and I started the business in 1980, and we were more the nuts and bolts of the industry, where we were actually, when we started, doing some of the repairs and some of those kind of things that I think many of these big companies have no idea. But let me give you some history of my background and career. I was raised on a farm in Idaho, and as you can see, we raised potatoes. And so I farmed up there for years, went to college like good boys shall do, and we worked long, hard hours. I remember one time as a child, I was working on and the tractor failed. The equipment I was using failed. And so I went to the house and I told my dad, excuse me, that the equipment broke, so I think I'm going to go swimming with my friends. And he said, no, you can't do that. Grab some wrenches, go back out there and fix it, and get back to work. It was an attitude and an attitude that I was raised with, and I still believe in. After graduating from the university, I worked for Grove Manufacturing, and after working for them for a few years, I started in 1980. So remember, in 1980, the rental business was really, really small. It was just getting started. And so we watched, my brother and I watched other rental companies and what they did, and we thought, these guys are doing lots better than we are. This is a real opportunity, and we should give it a chance. Back in the early days, there were a lot of manufacturers. Most of them are not around now. A lot of failures, a lot of problems, but everybody was trying to design the right machine, and we learned a lot by those kind of things and the failures of those competitors. And as they worked on design and function, and there were pioneers in this industry guys like John Grove that had been in the crane industry, and he switched over to the lift industry. I don't know if everybody knows, John Grove invented the hydraulically extended boom. And it changed the crane industry dramatically, but it also changed the lift industry. So then in 1980, my brother and I started Hoskins Equipment. And we set it up with small branches. And as you can see, with these small branches, they were located around the area, and we had different managers and stuff like that and other names. Because I had worked for Grove and I was well known with JLG, I kind of didn't want everybody to know it was me. I was kind of trying to go under the radar a little bit, and so we had the different names. As we grew, then it didn't work, so we had to consolidate all of the names. So it was a big change because I was vice president of the corporation. And so now I'm out delivering machines. I'm working on machines. I'm doing the dirty work. And all of a sudden I don't have all of these people to help me fix it. You know, I have to do like my father said, get your tail out there and get it fixed. So I relate it to when your mother says you're in the kitchen with mom and she says, don't put your finger on the stove. You'll burn your finger. Almost all of us put our finger on the stove and burned it. And that's the hard lessons that we learn. And I think that for me, the hard lessons that I learned in the rental industry had so much to do with my success. The rental industry grew like crazy in the early 80s. And I might mention it, we're talking about the 80s. I probably had a business 10, 15 years before any of you even knew what a scissor lift or an aerial work platform was. And so we were kind of the groundbreakers. And safety is one of the main things. In 1970, Nixon signed the OSHA Act, which was a workplace thing to take care of workers so that they could do it. So as I was renting, and you got to remember that we were very small then, and I had my own truck, I'm delivering machines. I meet a man on the job site, and he says, I want you to know you saved my marriage. I was single at the time, and I may have ruined a marriage or two, but I'd never had anybody tell me that I'd saved a marriage. And he said that because of the lift, excuse me, because of the lifts, now he was not as tired when he went home in the evening and everything else, and he could spend time with his wife and go to dinner and those kind of things. So the industry grew like crazy, and you can see that the rental revenue just went wild over the years. You think that we couldn't possibly grow that fast, and yet we have. And the total U.S. revenue at $44 billion is just amazing. When you think that I started with 2 lifts. I now have over 200, but it's that start that is important. So because of the labor saving and time device, the industry's grown dramatically. JLG has grown from a few million in the early 70s to $4 billion today. And one of my favorite stories is when I was vice president of Grove, and Grove is where John L. Grove worked before he started his JLG company. So anyway, I had a chance to buy JLG for the corporation for $20 million. So I go upstairs to the chairman and I said, we should buy this. This is really a growing industry. This is going to be great for us. We could really hit the big time. And he said that he would, very harsh words. He said, I'd never give that SOB a dime. So it was different back then. But the industry has grown so dramatically. And then we added the telehandler, which I see from your buildings around here and stuff. You have so many really tall buildings that are close that the reach forklift is not as big for you. But the reach forklift in California and most of the United States is really, really important. And the lift industry is all related to the cost of labor. So once upon a time, I went to Dubai at the invitation of some people over there, and they said, we want you to open up a lift company. And I said, well, that sounds good. So I started doing research. They're importing people from another country to do their labor, and they're paying them 40, 50 cents an hour. And I said, sorry, that doesn't work for the lift industry. The cost of labor has got to get up there to make it work. So as we all grew and everything else, the capabilities of the telehandler saved a lot of problems. And the telehandler, at least in my area, has pretty much overtaken the standard mass forklift because people want to get the stuff up and out as you go up on top of buildings and stuff. But both the lift industry and the telehandler industry have grown dramatically. And one of the key things that I want everybody to remember, because I think there's some people here that either own or plan to own small rental companies, that the contractor cannot afford to buy all of the sizes. Doesn't work. He doesn't have that much money and everything else. So that makes the rental business work. And I think I carry, 25 sizes of lifts, and we concentrate only in lifts. We don't have anything else other than the forks. And so these people cannot afford to buy all of those. The only things that sell is if there's an industrial application and somebody buys one and does the same thing with it every day. And that might work. The opportunity worldwide seems to be crazy to me because we're doing a pretty good job in America. But when we look at, I think I went backwards too far. But when we look at how much these lifts and everything else, the fleets are growing and everything else, there's a giant room for growth. If we look at what's in the US, what's in Europe, and what's in China, we're only at 7 units per 1,000 humans. And so with all of the building and all of the construction that we have to do, this market should be a super opportunity. Another thing that's really changed the industry is the telematics. And see if I can get to the right slide. The telematics really helps you as a rental company. The rental companies, we've rented hundreds and hundreds of times to somebody that calls and said, I'm done with it Friday. And we send the truck over Friday and he says, well, I'm not really done. I just didn't think you'd come on Friday. I thought maybe you were busy and I could use it all weekend and I could use it for free. So as we get telematics more and more, we can watch the machines, which helps on theft. And it also helps on whether or not the guy is using it that shouldn't be using it. But the telematics has grown to where it's almost a necessity to get some of that stuff now to enhance your profitability so that you're not giving free machines out there and everything else. And it stops unauthorized suits, which are lawsuits. And over the years, since we've been around a lot of years, we've had people that got on the machine, mostly kids, done something stupid and injured themselves, and obviously I'm the one that pays. So my basic philosophy of the rental business has never changed. We focus on the important basic rules, and I know that the other speeches, and I respect all of these people, but our philosophy is substantially different from most of the other people that I know of. And I'm sure that many of you in here have rented a car. And so you get off of the airplane and you go into the rental car place. What is it that you want? I want a darn car. I rented this thing. I want it now. It would be nice if it was clean. It would be nice if it was extra new. But basically, I want a car. I've got a meeting with somebody and I need to go do it. And so the same thing that happens with your customer, our customer, this electrician, if we have a few light bulbs out here and he's going to change these before we start our program today, then the management here wants to get it done. They don't want to wait and have that bulb changed right in the middle of my speech. So our customer is exactly the same. Our machines are a tool to get a job done, and our job is to make it more accessible, get him the right machine at the right time, get him a machine that works, and all of that stuff. Our success depends on the success of our customers. Now, I know many dealers because I've been around a long time. The tough part is to balance between my rental business and the manufacturer. I'm on the phone all the time telling them to get me this, get me parts, whatever. But who's the real key? That doesn't mean anything. What means something is the guy that is that electrician that's out there trying to change that light bulb, and he doesn't have a machine. He doesn't care about your problems. So remember that the customer is always right, even when he's wrong, and work with the customer. Thank you.
Thank you so much for Mr. Hoskins' great speech. Thank you, and please have a seat. Thank you. 朋友们，让我们再一次把热烈的掌声。
With a round of applause, let's thank the speech again for the wonderful speech. Now, let's move on. I know that you are eager to have lunch, some of you, and we have one more speaker and a panel discussion, and we have a speech from System Lift. And also, after the speech of System Lift, we will have a roundtable discussion too. Now, I will give you, with a round of applause, let's welcome Christopher from System Lift.
What is System Lift? Why Sinoboom? Welcome.
At first, in the name of System Lift, I would like to thank Sinoboom for the invitation. Happy 15th birthday. We are Fabian, Dennis, and myself are very pleased to be here. My name is Chris Friedrich. I'm one of 2 CEOs of System Lift, and within the next, hopefully 10 minutes, I would like to introduce our unique model of joint success in the access rental industry in Europe. On average, a so-called System Lift partner has 21% more revenue as a result only of being a member of System Lift. Let me explain why. First off, some facts and figures about System Lift. In the access rental business, we are the market leader in Germany and currently number 4 in Europe. We are a stock corporation existing of 70 owner-operated companies who partnered up with us and therefore automatically with each System Lift partner. The System Lift partners are working together very closely nationwide. We do have over 135 rental stations with a total of approximately 1,500 machines and more, 1,500 employees and more than 20,000 machines. Our purchase volume per year was lately 98 million euros, and we perform over 35,000 safety trainings per year with our self-invented operator training system called Systemcard. This means in this segment, we are by far the #1 in Germany too. How do we generate money? We do have several revenue streams as a stock company. First off, through joint purchasing, we do have sales commission agreements with all approved suppliers. We charge license fees for our operator card system card. Of course, we have membership fees, and we generate revenue with marketing services for our Systemlift partners. But all measures to generate value are geared to the well-being and success of the partner companies. For example, our purchasing philosophy, our partners, this is what you have to know, are only allowed to buy machines at suppliers. This ensures that the supplier match our values and high standards of quality, support, and customer service. We have just approved Sinoboom as so far the only Chinese MEWP OEM supplier of Systemlift. In advance, we did an extensive review of the relevant new Chinese suppliers, which included testing of equipment, detailed investigations of, among other things, support and after-sales service systems. And Sinoboom is by far the best match. But most important for you to know is you have to understand the Systemlift is one big community, a group of friends which behave to each other as true partners and work together very closely. What are our keys to success? Co-determination, economic benefits, and clear rules. We have fixed territories for each partner. This leads to the partner companies do not see themselves as competitors, rather as one company. We are a stock corporation owned exclusively by the Systemlift partners. We operate with joint coordination of important decisions by several committees, which consists of Systemlift partners, and we do have clear and common rules for all kinds of internal cooperation. For example, we do have fixed internal rental prices. The claim and goal of our association is to support our partner companies so more successful together as a group than alone. And the most relevant advantages for Systemlift partners are attractive purchasing conditions by approved suppliers, a strong network of nationwide rentals and entrepreneurial exchange, economic participation in joint success through stock dividend, worldwide certified operator safety training system called Systemcard, a strong brand and extensive marketing support, jointly agreed fixed internal rental prices with high marketing acceptance, and regular quality audits which ensures equal standards within the community. Summarize, this means our partners can focus on what they do best, renting, and it's our job to take care for everything else. And from the customer side, our claim is to provide maximal smooth rental for our customers. The advantages are you have just one contact person nationwide. You have a rental park that always fits. We have plus 135 rental stations. We have certified quality standards. We have extremely short ways to your construction site, including low transportation costs. We have high brand awareness and a positive image. We do have price stability. The customers are known within Systemlift, therefore there are no prepayments to be made. We have a market-leading operator card, and we have extremely experienced employees. And last but not least, and to come to a fast end, we have entrepreneur-managed companies with heart and soul and true passion for renting aerial work platforms. Thank you.
So much for Mr. Frederick's great speech. Thank you, and please have a seat. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and the launch is approaching. I know everyone, same as me, our stomach is ringing, right? But before that, we still have a second round of the panel discussion, which is really, really important because we're going to have lots of our experts to come to the stage to share their expertise and professional insights with all of you. 各位亲爱的来宾，那么从世界历史上来看呢，发展是人类社会的永恒主题。从弱国到强国。
From a weak country to a strong country, from a weak company to a strong business, the development factors is very important. So sustainability is a key to development. In this roundtable, we will invite Tim Whitman will be the host of the roundtable discussion as a special guest, as the host, and the 6 other panelists to talk about the aftermarket of MEWP globally and sustainability of this regard.
Please. Thank you. And also, please warmly welcome Government Rental CEO, Mr. Desmond On. Welcome. Access Group former board member, Mr. Antonio Royo. Welcome. UpHire Managing Director, Mr. Nigel McKinley. Welcome. And also, please warmly welcome KHL Group Senior Editor.
It's a great honor to be here. Sha Wu Hao.
Good afternoon, I should say.
Xie xie.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, that's all of my Mandarin. Yi Jian Jian.
Just a little Chinese that I could say.
We have a great panel here today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Just before we start, who is here in China for the first time? First time?
Yes.
Third time, okay, but first time. So I'm going to be interested in your feedback afterwards, your reactions to see how we're working. Yeah. Good. You're very welcome, yeah. And thank you everybody here for joining us. We are very happy to have you here today. So our panel today is going to talk about a variety of topics relating to the sustainability and future of the industry. And I'm not going to just go along this way. I'm going to move around the panel a little bit. And I think I wanted to start perhaps with Ricky, if I may, just to look a little bit about the future trends for consolidations, mergers in the industry. We hear a lot about this in Europe, in the USA. Your thoughts about this? Could be in China, could be in Europe, could be in the US. Your thoughts on this?
Okay, thank you, team. Actually, in one voice, always for better solution. Thinking about the M&A, I think we really don't not like so much M&A this kind of war. It's very important. It's the partnership. So as our slogan, partner in assets, it's very important to leverage the right, to choose the right partnership and leverage both sides' advantage. It's very important. Similar as today, we had a very good partnership with the Spider Deep, Falcon, because Falcon have very good advantage, and Sinoboom also had a very good advantage. So we both sides choose to enter into the partnership together to create a better solution for all our customers. This is one of the thinking. The other thinking is also we need to consider the trend of the industry. We're thinking that all our customers would like to pursue better solutions. So we leverage the good point from check unit and enter into the partnership together and create a telematics for better management free to our customers. So it's, in one word, it's very important to choose the right partnership and working together, cooperation together. This is how I was thinking the M&A, other than control the company and make the company be under our totally control. This is not our thinkings.
Thank you, Ricky. Please go ahead, Nigel.
I don't know about you guys, but I certainly started the business to go down that path. Show me the money. If someone's got the checkbook out there to start a business, to grow it and build it. Yeah. Someone comes on board and takes the opportunity to merge with you, I see it as a great thing. So, yeah, definitely.
Good, thank you. I'd like to turn now a little bit to the subject of electrification, which is in many countries is a really hot issue now. And maybe Mr. Zhang Hua, we could start with you. Do you have the earset? Please go ahead.
So about the electrification in China and the global market. As electrification, upgrading, electrification is a future trend in the industry. Is unreversible trend, future direction. In China, currently, electrification has its problems or difficulties facing ahead of us. We see it's a trend. Principally, it needs a circle, it needs a cycle to complete a full period of the time. But since last year, we see the trend of electrification. We had witnessed some overselling. Why we say this? Some of the manufacturers, the rental companies, in terms of the electrification, they overstated to the customer. They over-recommended. Then the trend is become periodic trend that are going to become shortened this period. This sound development. So it's going to play a negative effect to the industry. But I think the future trends are not going to be changed. I should say it's going to be a future trend.
Shishin, I would like now to ask you, Desmond, and I should just stress, as somebody who's been in this industry for nearly 40 years now, delighted to have you on stage with us here, one of the pioneers of this industry in Asia, absolutely. So thank you for joining us. And your thoughts on electrification would be welcome.
Okay, if you come to the subject of electrification, because if you go back to the history, you will see that all the manufacturers in the past, they have electric unit. But those days, the electric units are very limited models, especially because the constraint is not because of it's mainly of the technology, because we are using the lead acid battery, which give you very limited capacity. You can't support any big equipment. So if we look at the history from Markley, early days, all the way Condor, JLG, all they have electric unit, but they're all limited the max up to 12 meters because of a technology issue. So but today, the situation has changed totally. Just back 3 years ago, we see that the lithium battery has been massively utilized in the technology. Because of the lithium battery that makes this thing possible and at a reduced cost. At a reduced cost. I still remember when we talk about electric unit, we have a spider unit. The spider unit has been using for the last 25, 30 years. They are electrics, but still limited capacity. But when spider introduced some lithium battery, the cost is it's practically, you cannot accept. It's far too high, the option itself. So in the last 6, 7 years, you see the Chinese market, the electric vehicle, the explosion of this industry has really set the base for the equipment supplier. And we can use this lithium battery now, the option. It's relatively cheap. I've seen that Sinoboom, they are using all the lithium battery on the small scale. And the cost is just like normal battery, not so much higher. So that make electrification really move forward. And they go all the way up now to 28 meters. In fact, Dingley, this company, it was the first one, introduced the lithium battery for boom up to 30, 34 meters. So it's a full range. And they also have a hybrid unit now. Not just, I saw that yesterday, the Sinoboom, they have a electric unit. They also come with the big diesel engine, 36 kilowatt. And I was talking to the managing director. He was so proud that his electric unit can run a whole day. And also you can supplement by another engine, can run independently to support the operation. So this is really a trend in the future. I think it's a trend in the future. Either you go fully electric or you go hybrid. And this is a trend. And Dingley has a system which is electric, but they're using a generator to charge the electric, the lithium battery. So it's all kind of combination. It's very interesting. And I think the cost really has gone down a lot. And the reliability of the lithium, the safety hazard, the fire, all these things, which initially we were so worried. And I think it's gone. I think this make it very safe for us to use. And I know from the media that in future, people are going to even cheaper battery like sodium battery. So this is the trend probably. The main thing is if you can bring the cost down, and for the environmental protection, because lithium you still need to recycle. You cannot dispose the battery. So it's another issue. So, but anyway, whatever it is, electrification is a trend, and it's good for rental company. It's coming from Sinoboom, right?
Don't worry, we have plans.
Okay, I'm waiting for it. Thank you.